Aren't you pretty? Oh, yeah.
Hi there, Prey Plant Girl here. If you caught my last video, then you saw that I was out at my parents' farm recently collecting evergreen boughs and different things for some holiday containers that I was putting together. It was just a nice afternoon Mom and I spent together out in the tree line there, just collecting from their vast amount of material that they have. And I thought I'd just bring you along so you could kind of have a look. People sometimes ask when I mention the farm and they want to see what it's like, and this is just in the tree line, but I thought I'd let you have a little look. So we just took a couple of containers out there, and I just took a few different kinds of clippers, and Mom was nice enough to help out, and I just was clipping branches and handing them over, and she was managing to get them all stuffed into those buckets. And I'll tell you, I clipped a lot. So they have deer and moose and everything go through these trees, so they weren't too worried about what I cut out or what I did, but I tried not to make too much of an impact on any of the trees. But here Mom and I were looking at the difference in the color tones on these pine trees and spruce trees and what they had out here. This one here was what we think was some sort of blue spruce, and you know, you could really tell where the light hits it more, and the trees, the needles had a lot more blue color to them, and then the ones that were more in the shade, in the shadows there, had much more of a green form to them. They have so many trees out here, and they just slowly added them over time, so they don't know all the exact varieties and everything. But a lot of these trees were planted by my hands as a little girl, so it's kind of neat to be able to go out there now and walk through there, and they tower over me, and we planted them as just tiny little whips. So I find it really interesting to be through the tree line. I find it a little bit magical to be out there in all those trees. Now I cut very large branches off, and then if you saw my other video, I'll put a link up somewhere, and if you saw it, you'll see I didn't use these branches whole like that. It's just made it easier to transport them that way, and then I just took pieces off of them and used them as I needed. And it might look like there's a lot of dead material coming out of them. What it is there's Scotch pines on the other side of this row that we're on right there. You can just see them on the left of the screen there, and when the prevailing winds blow from that side, they blow their needles over onto this tree. So there was lots and lots of Scotch pine needles sitting on these branches. It was kind of funny. So every time we took one, there was lots of Scotch pine needles coming off of them. Those needles are so much longer, and I don't know, they seem to get stuck in absolutely everything. Some of these branches are so heavy. You can see this one was pretty much laying right on the ground, and you can just see as I come along and take branches off the side of it, it starts to just lift. Kind of looks like someone's holding it, or like I'm lifting it up, but it's not. You'll see as I go along. I didn't have a big enough a pair of cutters with me, or I would have just cut this whole branch off. I'll have to come back another day and do some cleanup on it. But you can see how it's lifting up there. I'd started at the end, it's not in the screen there. I started taking branches off, and you can just see as it gets lighter as I cut the branches off. It's amazing how much weight they hold. So we were walking around looking to see a lot of the stuff that they have appears to be blue spruce and Scotch pine, and I was just looking to see if I could find any other, you know, colors or textures or anything, and we came across this one fir tree here, and it was a lot darker, the needles on it, and just had a little bit different form than the blue spruces, so maybe some sort of a Douglas fir or something, I don't know, but it was definitely different than the others, and so there I went, just chopping away, because I just needed to have a little bit of everything. Mom was so good. She was just cleaning up after me, taking all the cuttings and keeping it all straightened up for me, so it was really nice to have her out there. We could visit while we're out there. I love being out at the farm. There's a mix of evergreens and deciduous trees in the tree line here, and you might notice I was working around a limb of a deciduous tree there. It was an ash tree of some kind. It appears to actually, this one appears to have maybe been a volunteer. It's grown right in against a fir tree, but we notice what appears to be blossoms dried right on the limbs at the ends of the branches there, and tried to get a little close up. So I actually collected some of those. I was hoping to use some of them in some of the containers, but it didn't quite work out the way I had thought in my mind. Making our way back out, and took a look around, and I decided that these trees down here where the sun hits them a little more, the branches on these Scotch pines were just a little fuller than some of the ones I'd cut in the tree line, just that they get that much more sun. And so even though I had a lot already, I decided I needed a few of those too. I had to be a little more selective in what I took here, because they are right along the road. They're a lot more visible, so I wanted to leave them looking as pretty as they were when I got there. So I went through and took a few smaller bits and pieces out of there and packed those away to take home. I hadn't really planned on collecting quite as much as I did, and I really should have brought the truck with me instead of my car, but oh well. Where there's a will, there's a way, and I managed to get her all stuffed in there and make it work, but it was interesting. Sure made the car smell nice for days after that, even though I vacuumed it all out when I got home. But yeah, I had to get creative to get this all fit in there without damaging the branches of the car. Like I said, moose and deer frequent the tree line, and they can do some real damage. You can see the bare spot up on this tree, but look at this. You might not even realize there's a little tree in front of me here. And a moose, just a young moose, probably a year old, came along and I could see it. This is right behind their house. And it was marking with its antlers along the trunk and just left all the branches down on the ground there. It wasn't eating, just marking its territory or whatever, or however they do that. And yeah, rubbed its antlers up and down on the trunk there, and if you look, yeah, that close to the house. That was just a small one, but yeah, they can do a lot of damage. Thanks for watching and visiting me on the farm today. Bye.